Welcome to another YouTube video here. I have decided today I'm going to do a video about some of the stupider things that people have said to me. I know, we all get the, it's not Halloween anymore, or like freak, like stupid common stuff like that. But I thought it would be nice to do a video of some of the more unusual things that people have said to me. Most of them are pretty stupid. Some of them are cute, most of them are pretty stupid. I suppose it's kind of along the same lines as, Toxic Tears, What Not to Say to Goth Girls video. But this is some of my more, different things people have said to me when I'm out and about in public. And I've made a list. I've made myself some cheat notes because I can't remember this many things. Okay, so I would like to start this story by saying that I own a costume shop. I work in a costume shop, but most of the time, unless it is October, we are not wearing costumes. I look like this. I'm at work in my regular stuff, usually not with, swear words on my t-shirt, but, dressed relatively like this, Death Hawk makeup, the whole bit. And people frequently mistake me for being in costume, which is tedious, like the 500th time that it happens in a day. It's very tedious. But this story begins. It is not October. I am not in a costume, and I'm just helping some people out. The store's kind of busy, and this, relatively middle-aged woman comes in, and she's like, I need to be Cyndi Lauper. I need to be Cyndi Lauper, and I don't know what to do. I need a wig. Like, I'm not sure. And I said, okay, no problem. I said, don't stress out. I'm gonna help you. I said, I'm just in the middle of something. I gotta go over there for like 2 seconds. I'll be right back. So I get about 10 steps away from her. I'm not even kidding, like 10 steps away from her. And she turns to her friend and very loudly says, "Was that a boy or a girl?" And I'm like, I can hear you. I can hear you. You're like 10 steps away. That's a very strange thing to say very loudly in public. But anyways, and I very frequently get mistaken for a drag queen. I'm not sure if it's the height, I'm not sure if it's the makeup, but like either way, I'm not upset by it. I know a lot of drag queens and a lot of them are very, very beautiful. So I don't find that upsetting, but to just say that so blatantly in public when I can hear you is pretty weird. So I popped my head back around the corner and I was like, just so you know, I'm a girl. And she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that, you're wearing that Halloween costume. So like, I can't tell." And I was like, just stop. Just stop talking. You're putting your foot in your mouth like so much worse and you don't even know. I don't know. It amazes me sometimes what comes out of people's mouths. And I'm not entirely sure if they're just not thinking about it or if they don't realize it's rude or what the thought process was behind that. But anyways. Okay, my next story. I am up north. My parents live up north from here. And I was up visiting them in a relatively small town. And we were out shopping one day on Main Street and we're just, walking from shop to shop and having a look around. And this little girl sees me and points at me dramatically, which isn't unusual. Kids see me, I'm big, I'm obvious, and they don't have a filter, so they just say whatever comes into their heads. But this little girl points at me dramatically and she goes, "Mommy, look at that lady." And the mom grabs the little girl and she pulls her close to her side and she says, "Honey, that's what ladies look like when they ride motorcycles." And I was slightly confused at that point because I don't feel like I look like a biker chick, especially this. I'm not entirely sure how that fits into the motorcycle helmet, but I always find it interesting how people perceive me in different areas, I suppose. Okay, next story. Sort of related. This is actually the most recent story on the list. A few mornings ago, I needed groceries before work, and I just had to get in, I had to get a few things, and I had to go to work. So I'm in the grocery store, and there's an elderly woman. She's walking very slowly in front of me with her cart, and I'm like, "Come on, hurry up, I just need to get by you." So finally, she moves into an area where I can get by her. So I go around her, and I pick up my lettuce, and I pick up my carrots, and I'm in a hurry, and I can feel her. I can feel her, like, staring into the side of my head. We all know that feeling where somebody's looking at you. And I'm ignoring her because a lot of people stare at me in public. And I'm just getting my produce. And finally, I had to grab something that was very close to where she was. So I went over and I grabbed my, whatever it was, celery or something. And she looks at me and she's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure," because like if people are polite to me, really, like I'll tell them anything. Ask all the questions you want. I really don't care. And she goes, isn't it awfully cold to be riding your motorcycle right now? And I was like, we came here in a car. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I just thought that, you know, I didn't want you to catch a cold or anything, and it's a little chilly to be riding your motorbike right now, so that's good. That's good that you came here in a car. I'm glad to know that. And again, I don't think I look like a biker, but like, I don't know. And this wasn't even in a small town. This isn't the city where I live, so I don't know. Okay. The next story, this is a cute story. This is one of my cute stories. So frequently I'm in the fabric store buying fabric, like literally almost every day I have to go over there and buy stuff. And I'm standing in line at the fabric counter. I've got my fabric. I'm waiting to get my fabric cut, and I'm just, you know, waiting around. And this little tiny woman, this little tiny woman comes up and stands beside me. And like, you got to understand that in my boots with my Death Hawk up, like I'm approaching 7 feet. I've got 6 feet without the boots. We got like 5-inch platforms in the Death Hawk. So, you know, we're up there. And this little tiny woman comes up beside me, and I see her look up and look up and look up and look all the way up my body. And when she gets up to my face, she looks in a very small voice. She says to me, "My goodness, you ate all your broccoli, didn't you?" And I looked down at her and I said, "Yes, and by the looks of it, I ate all your broccoli as well." And then she laughed, and then I laughed, and then that put a smile on my face the rest of the day. I thought that was really cute. Because like, I know that I am tall and obvious, and you know, I can joke about myself, absolutely. I don't like it when people can't take a joke about themselves, but you know, don't be rude about it. Be silly, be funny. I can take a joke, but like, some people are just dicks. Which is where this story comes in. I'm in line again. I guess a lot of people talk to me in line. I'm in line at the drugstore, and I had to buy something, and I'm just standing in line, not really paying attention, kind of, you know, staring around at the ceiling and looking at the magazines and whatever. And the guy in front of me happened to turn around for whatever reason. He turns around, he sees me, and he goes, "Oh, well, look at you." And I was like, "Yeah, you know." And he's like, "Wow, look at your hair, look at your clothes, look at all of this." And I, you know, I made the usual joke with him. I'm like, "Yeah, well, you gotta do something with your time, man. You know, I spend mine making clothes, whatever." And, you know, then at that point, he puts his hands on his hips, and he looks at me, and he says, "Well, I sure wish my daughter would do that instead of what she's doing." And I was like, "Okay, like, I'll bite. What is she doing?" And he goes, "Heroin." And I was like, "What? You wish your daughter would dress like me instead of doing heroin?" I'm not entirely sure what my outfit has to do with your daughter's drug habit, but I suddenly feel like I have forgotten something in the store, and I have to go find that thing and not talk to you anymore, you very strange man. So, I don't know. We'll just leave that story there. That's a bit weird. All right, next story. I'm at work again. This is October. This is very near the end of October, and we are in costume. And we are all dressed as Vikings, all of us. We have theme days. One day we're all pirates, the next day we're all, whatever, vegetables, the next day we're all Vikings. So we were all Vikings. And I was wearing a brown fur tunic, and I had my hair down, I had my Viking hat on with my horns, I had my, you know, tooth necklace on, whatever, I was a Viking. And this elderly couple comes in, and they're just sour faces, And I went up to them, and I'm doing my retail thing. I'm happy, I'm upbeat, I'm at work, and I'm like, "Hey guys, what's going on? Like, do you need some help?" And they were like, "We have to go to a costume party." And I was like, "No, like, don't be like that. It's gonna be fun." I'm like, "Come on, what kind of a costume party do you have to go to? Like, what's it gonna be like?" And they were like, "Well, you know, we got assigned to be something in particular, and, you know, we're not happy about it." And I said, "Well, like, what do you have to be? It can't be that bad. I'll help you." And the woman's like, "We have to be gothic." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Okay." I said, "I can set you up." I said, "Don't even worry about it." I said, "We're going to find something great. I'm going to make you look fabulous." And the woman looks at me and goes, "Make me look fabulous?" She's like, "I hardly think so. I mean, it's going to be about how ugly you can make me look. Have you seen those people?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know one or two Gothic people, as luck would have it, and yeah, so let's get you a costume." And I mean, if there was a bigger way for her to put her foot in her mouth, I can't think of it, but She couldn't have known. Like, there's no way she could have known. I was dressed like a Viking, but I mean, still, what a thing to say, right? What a thing to say. Okay. Next story. I'm not even in this story, although it is about me. In university, I had a roommate who was a blonde, jeans and a t-shirt type girl. She was a lovely girl. There's nothing wrong with that. She just wasn't an alternative person like me and my partner. And we lived with her. And we were in university housing, so all the houses were very close together. And one day, it was a warm day, she had the windows open, she's in the kitchen just cooking away, and she hears, psst, psst. And she goes over to the window, and the guys in the house next door were like, psst. And she was like, yes? And they were like, hey, do you live with those goth people? And she was like, yes? And they were like, can we ask you a question about it? And she was like, yes? And they were like, what do they eat? And she was like, babies! The fuck do you think they eat? Food! Like, what kind of a question is that? And then she told us about it later, and I was like, I don't think I even understand that. Like, what do they think we eat? All black food? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what the motivation behind that question was, but I thought it was quite funny. Okay. Next story. I frequently get asked if I'm in a band, which is fine. That's not offensive. I guess you're not supposed to look all jazzed out like a rock star unless you are a rock star. And like, I find that flattering. I enjoy looking like a rock star. So like, whatever, that doesn't bother me. But this is like literally all the time. And like the, umpteenth time that it happens in a day, it gets a little tiresome. So here we are, we're on vacation, me and my partner and his brother and his girlfriends. There's 4 of us, and we're all alternative peoples. And we're, out on the East Coast at this time, and we're just looking around in the town where we were, and we're looking in the little shops and poking around and whatever. And this person comes up to us and is like, oh my God, are you guys in a band? And we were like, no, flattered, but no, we just, have an interesting sense of style. A couple stores later, somebody else is like, oh my God, are you guys in a band? And we were like, no, I know, you probably don't see a lot of people that look like us, but no, flattered. And a few stores later, are you guys in a band? And at this point, we're starting to get a little, wearied of it. And it happens again, and it happens again. And finally, my partner Brody is like, I swear to God, like the next time that somebody asks us that, and lo and behold, 2 minutes later, someone comes up to us and goes, oh my God, are you guys in a band? And I'm not even kidding you. Brody looks at them and goes, yeah. He's like, Adam plays the spoons, Nichelle plays guitar, Missy sings, and I do interpretive dance. And he's a big guy, right? He's a big guy, he's a tall guy, and he's just standing on the sidewalk doing this, will-o'-the-wisp interpretive thing. And this person is just like jaw on the ground, like completely unsure of what's going on. And they just kind of like slowly sort of looked backed away and left. And it was all I could do to just not like pee myself laughing. It was hilarious. I was biting the inside of my face and I was like, oh my God, Brody, commitment to the bit. That was fantastic. Okay. And on the note of being mistaken for a rock star, people often say to me that I look like Abby from the show NCIS, which is not true. I actually don't look like Abby at all. It's just that I think because she's like an alternative girl and she's on TV, that's the way people interpret it. I'm not really sure, but I get that all the time. Anyways, so we're out and about, we're walking around, and this person comes up to me and they're like, oh my God, you look like, who is it? It's that famous person. They're on TV and, oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. And I'm waiting for them to say Abby from NCIS because that's what everybody says. And all of a sudden they're like, Gene Simmons. That's who it is. You look like Gene Simmons. And I was like, oh. I was like, I hope I don't look like Gene Simmons. I mean, I'm sure people love Kiss or whatever, but like, I really don't feel like I look like Gene Simmons. Anyway, so that was a surprise. That was a surprise ending to that story. I wasn't ready for that when it happened. Okay, last story. In the building where I live. I'm coming home, I got a lot of groceries. I've been to the grocery store, I've got all these bags. I'm all, weighed down with these bags. And we have a handicap button that you press and the door opens by itself if you're in a wheelchair or whatever. But because I had all of these bags, I couldn't manage the door. So I'm like, I'm gonna press this button. And I'm coming home, and there's this woman standing outside the building, and she's standing right near that button. And as I'm, coming up, like near her. She's kind of slowly just backing up. But there's anywhere for her to go. She's standing basically against the wall. So she's just sort of like getting farther away from me with her body in this super awkward thing. And then I had to get near her to press this button. I wasn't like getting in her space. She was just standing there. So as I reached in to press the button that was near her, she and started like chanting and like religiously warding me off and started this religious chant. And I was like, are you warding me off? I'm not really sure what's going on right now or what you're doing, but I just have to go in the building with my groceries because I need to make dinner. So I went by her through the door, and you can see there's a glass wall and there's another glass wall with a second door. So I'm facing the second door and I can see her reflection, and she's still just staring at me like chanting. And I'm like, well, I hope that makes you feel better because I don't really think it's accomplishing anything, but yeah, there you have it. So those are my stories. I'm going to end this with something really cute, a cute little thing that happened to me because, I don't know, best to end these things on an upbeat note, right? Again, in the grocery store. And I just needed one thing. I was tired. It was after work. I didn't even want to be there. I just wanted to go home, but I needed this one thing. So I ran in the grocery store as fast as I could, and I grabbed this thing, and I'm standing in line at the counter, and I'm waiting, and there's a mother in front of me that's got a bunch of groceries, a little tiny kid, and the kid's got something in her hand, and it comes their turn that they have to put their stuff on the conveyor belt. So the mom puts her stuff, and then she's like, come on, honey, come on, put your thing on the conveyor belt. Like, we have to pay the lady now. We have to get our groceries and go home. So the little kid, she's so small, she has to reach way, way, way up to put her thing on the conveyor belt. And as she reaches up, she's looking up, and then she sees me because I'm in her line of sight as she's looking up, and she goes, and she points at me and she goes, oh my God, Mommy, it's a unicorn. And the mom was just like mortified, like embarrassed. And I laughed because I thought that was cute. I mean, I've been mistaken for many things. Gene Simmons, a biker apparently, all sorts of things, but never ever a unicorn. So that was my first and only time so far being mistaken for a mythical creature. And I thought it was adorable. So anyways, if you have any unusual stories that have happened to you, you should write them in the comments below. I'd be very interested to read them because I know we all get the common stuff, but like, yeah, I'd like to hear about some of the weirder things. And anyways, if you liked this video, you should give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm under Madame Absinthe. That's where I post my, outfit and clothing pictures. And yeah, hopefully I will be able to make more videos for you when I have some time.